Well, hi there, this is Pat Fader, and we're going to continue with our capstone project setup um, using PowerShell. So as a review of where we've been so far, we initially just configured the IP and computer names of some of our machines. We then installed Active Directory domain services on one of them and made it a domain controller. We made it a DHCP server. We took a look at DNS a little bit. We then went on to configure our Windows 10 client and had it join our domain. And then we took our second server, joined it to the domain, which made it a member server, and then eventually promoted it to a domain controller. So now what we're going to do is just work on creating some OUs and user accounts. Now these relate to our capstone project. If you're thinking about this for the final exam for PowerShell, I'll probably tweak it a bit. But anyways, I'm just using the capstone project as an example. So let's create the OUs. One thing we can notice is that after we install domain services, we got a whole new set of commands that we could use that were related to Active Directory, and you'll notice that the commandlets, if we look at the noun part, they all start with AD. So a lot of times you'll see that, and when you add a new module, we'll try to do something to make all those commandlets unique. And in this case, with the Active Directory module, they brilliantly start the commandlets, the noun part of it, with AD. So when we could actually take a look at that, I was just messing around before I hit the record button. But we could use get command, and I could just say, show me all the commands that are in the module Active Directory. I put in the wildcard because I was getting lazy. I didn't want to type in directory. So if I put the asterisk in there, it means basically anything that starts with active is good enough. And with that, we see all kinds of commands here. I don't know how many there are. I don't want to count them. I don't want to use a commandlet to count them. The point is, we have a bunch more commands we can use, and we're going to use some of those now to configure our AD environment. All right. Okay, so new AD organizational unit. I'm pretty sure you can figure out what that's going to do. We're going to specify the name as temp employees, so I want to make an OU called temp employees. And then where do I want to put it? And basically the syntax here, Active Directory is a directory service. So Microsoft's directory service is Active Directory. And LDAP, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, is a protocol that's used to access objects in our directory. And the syntax here comes from LDAP. So I've oversimplified it, but basically you kind of start at the bottom of the hierarchy and you work your way up, and that'll become evident as we look at more examples. But right now we're going to create an object. This, I think, we call the relative distinguished name, temp employees, and the full path of where that object will be created is it's going to be in the ITnet 112 domain, and the ITnet 112 domain is actually within the PRI domain. So it's kind of PRI is at the top. ITnet 112 is one domain below that, and then that's where we'll find temp employees. If you think about DNS, it's kind of the same way. You'll find like there's a bunch of DNS servers that just take care of the .com domain, and then within that there's other servers responsible for subdomains within .com, or edu would be a good example. matc.edu. So matc as a server that's just responsible for the matc.edu zone. But above that, there's a whole bunch of servers that are really just responsible for keeping track of where all the other DNS servers are that are found within the edu zone. So I feel like I've really messed that up. I apologize. I was trying to make it easier. But let's run line 242. All right, so I made a new OU called temp employees. Let's just jump into Active Directory and check it out. A lot of times, I'll have to look for refresh here. Actions, refresh. All right, temp employees. It's a little bit, this isn't a fantastic resolution, I apologize, but you can see that temp employees was created, and that is an OU, organizational unit. You'll also notice that we have some containers here. What a container is, it's essentially a pre-created container for holding objects that when you first install Active Directory, that gets created for you. You can't tie group policies to these containers, but that's kind of the default location for a lot of objects. when we join computers to our domain, it goes in the computers container. If I make a user, guess what? It goes in the users container. All right, enough. So we can kind of figure out what the next few lines are going to do. Going to make a few more OUs. We'll run those 2 lines here. Oh, I hit it twice. You get impatient. I hit it a few times, and let's do a refresh here. All right, so we have a few more OUs created. We made an OU called employees and workstations to verify employees and workstations. Keep moving on. Let's see here. When you have a space in your name, you have to put quotes around it. Otherwise, PowerShell would think like it just. If you're trying to use a string and there's a space in it, you're gonna have to put double quotes around it normally. So that's what's going on line 247. Because I wanted an OU called member servers. I don't know why that's not one word, but it's a learning chance to learn something new. Here we go. We're digging down a bit more now. So now we're going to make a OU called office, and I could put that in double quotes if I wanted to. There we go. That's fine. And it's going to be located in the employees OU, which we created above, and that OU is in the 112 domain, and that in 112 is within the PRI domain. So we'll do that for lines 249, 250, and let's go through 253. All right, so we made 4 OUs. If you notice, it's possible for OUs to exist with the same name as long as they're in different locations. So the distinguished name would be unique because it would be Office, then Workstation, then 112, then PRI, and this one would be Office, then Employee. So anyway, it's kind of like creating folders. You can create 2 folders with the same name on your computer as long as they're in different parent folders. I can have 2 folders on my desktop called Pictures. No problem, as long as those Pictures folders are in different parent folders somewhere. So we can take a quick look here and verify that that we've created a bunch of OUs. Refresh. All right. So we have, for example, we created a factory and office OU inside of the employees OU, and we also created a factory and office OU inside of the workstations OU. Good enough. We're moving on. Oop, I don't want that. It's a little bit confusing because I'm on my Mac, remoted into my desktop system, so sometimes I get a bit confused as to which window to click on. But we're good, so we can go back to our script. And we're done with that. Let's create some user accounts now. Kind of the same thing. New AD user. Nothing new there. What that's going to do. We have to specify a password. By default, Microsoft wants it to be secure. So we have to use this commandlet convert to secure string to take a plain text password and forcibly make it into a secure password. So this isn't ideal, obviously, because why? Well, your password's in clear text. So, and what am I doing? I'm actually making a few domain admins. So I'm going to make one domain admin called admin1, and there's that little tick mark again right after. It's like right, it's highlighted right there, and that's the at least on my keyboard right below the escape key. So that just tells PowerShell that the command's not over. Keep going. Go down here. Keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. And I think the takeaway on this first command, this new AD user command, is I'm making a user called admin1. It's going to be enabled, and you notice the parameter enabled. We're using a variable called $true$. So it's I don't know specifically what it's called, but you get the idea that it's either going to be true or false, and I want my account to be enabled, so we're setting it to true. The path the distinguished name of our object that we're creating is going to be inside the, and again, the full distinguished name would include admin1 as well, but just the path to that object that we're creating is, it's in the users container. The users container is in ITnet 112, and then ITnet 112 is within PRI. Okay. We do have to specify a SAM account name. Every user account needs a unique SAM account name. This is kind of like for backwards compatibility with NT4 systems. So there it is. And a user principal name. Typically your user account, your user's login is just your username and then whatever your domain is. But sometimes in really large environments you get domains and subdomains, and this can get kind of long. Like, I don't want to log in, like, let's say it's like a GE medical system, so I don't want to log on as admin1 at at East Coast dot, or at East Coast .us.northamerica.ge.com, or whatever whatever the domain structure might be. So in those cases, you can actually specify a user principal name and just kind of use whatever you want. Like, for example, a lot of companies decide to use their employees' email addresses. It's pretty easy then for your employees to remember, oh yeah, my login name is my email address. So just something there. We're specifying a user principal name. I can make it whatever I want it to. You wouldn't obviously want to use a domain that you don't own. That would cause all kinds of problems down the road. But in our example, admin1 at itnet112.pri. Perfect. Let's make ourselves admin account. All right. Done. One user created. Let's keep going. Same thing. Admin, thing 1 and thing 2. Admin 1 and admin 2. Let's make that. Okay, so now I've created 2 user accounts, admin 1 and admin 2. I could visually look at them in Active Directory, or I could run something in PowerShell. But if we just look in our users container, admin 1 and admin 2, and I look at them, they're currently just members of the users group. Nothing fancy, they're just plain old users. But let's change that. All right. All right, so now we want to take and we want to add members to an Active Directory group. So what group are we going to modify? The domain admins group. And the members that we're going to add to it are admin 1 and admin 2. Oh yeah, okay, we just created those. So done. We could jump back over here to Active Directory users and computers. And domain admins right there. Members. Admin 1 and admin 2, and then administrator. If you recall, the administrator account, that was actually the local account that when we made this machine a domain controller, it took our local administrator account and made that user an enterprise admin, which is super powerful. It has more permission, or has more kind of drawing a blank here, but it has the ability to do more things in our domain than even the domain admins do. So it's pretty powerful. Typically, this is a user account you don't want to use unless you have to. All right, so now what we're going to do, I just wonder here, like, let's just try it. If this works, it works. If not, I'll just skip it and move on. I get AD user, and we're going to filter this. And I could, if I put an asterisk, that would just mean give me every user an AD. I'm just curious if I can just, oops, name is like. There's different operators you can use, like name equal, name like. If we use like, you're allowed to use wildcards. And how about admin star? I'm just curious what we get. Probably shouldn't experiment on a screencast, but what the heck. All right, so that returned admin 1. Oh, here's our distinguished name. Well, it's a learning moment, right? So this is the full distinguished name. So the common name is admin 2, and that's within our users container, and the users container is within the domain component ITnet112, and that ITnet112 domain component is within the domain component PRI. Good enough. So we have admin 1, admin 2, and administrator. Awesome. All right. So now what we're going to do is just last but not least is take that administrator account that we've just mentioned, and we're going to rename it because we can. No, because instead of having your domain at your enterprise admin be administrator, some people say you should rename that account. So I'm just curious what maybe perhaps it will look at first before we rename it. Let's take a look at the administrator account here and the account. Okay, so we can see some of the we'll see basically we're going to end up tweaking a few things in here. And let's see what happens. So let's run the command, rename it. Okay, so we've just renamed our administrator account, and the new name, again, we have to specify the distinguished name, the full location of where that account, where that object exists in Active Directory. So we beat this to death. And the new name is enterprise admin. Good. So I could do that get 80 user command again that we were just messing around with a few lines above. And we see now that we have an enterprise admin account. Now the SAM account name is still administrator, so we should probably update that. And we're going to update the user principal name as well. Currently the user principal name is not defined. So let's do that. So there's a few ways. Again, a lot of times when I do this stuff, I'll just look at the way other people have done it online. So we're going to take advantage of some of the basically we're going to take advantage of being able to pipe the output of one command into another on line 283. So I'm going to rerun this command, let here that returns our enterprise admin account. There it is. It returns just one account, enterprise admin. So I have one enterprise admin account whose name is enterprise admin. And then I'm going to take that returns an object. Okay. So this is the object that's returned. It's a user account object, and there's a bunch of properties associated with it. I'm going to take that object and I'm going to pipe it. That's what this next symbol is here. That is, well, I'm on my laptop right now, so I don't know. For me, it's above my enter key. It's shift and the key above my enter key. But anyways, it's a vertical pipe. It's a pipe. And I'm going to take that object, I'm going to send it to the set 80 user commandlet. So this commandlet is going to operate on whatever we're piping into it. And we are going to then specify two parameters, the user principal name parameter, and so basically we're going to specify a UPN, a user principal name. So this person can now log on as enterprise_admin at itnet112.pri. Fantastic. And we're going to update the SAM account name to enterprise admin. So let's run this line. Awesome. Let's go back to Active Directory users and computers and look at that user's property here. I'm going to hit action refresh because you're saying fader. Things don't look different yet. There it goes. All right. Enterprise admin, right there it is, right down here. Let's see what we've got going on there. Let's look at the account. And you can see that we have specified a user principal name, and we've updated the SAM account name as well. So there you go. Fun with PowerShell. So in summary, what have we done? We've talked about how we can address objects in Active Directory using the syntax specified by the LDAP protocol. It's a lot of words for basically how you're going to address objects. And we talked about how we could create OUs and how we could create user objects. And that's a good place to stop for now. I think eventually what I want to do is get into creating bulk user accounts, and as well as creating some folders and files and things like that, which relate real well to chapters, I believe, 5 in your textbook. So thanks for taking the time to watch the screencast, and have a great day.